Okay, here's a thought for you. What if the ultimate goal of a scientist wasn't actually all that different from, say, a spiritual yogi? It's a pretty wild idea, right? Well, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating reflection by Jawaharlal Nehru. He thought a lot about this deep and honestly often misunderstood relationship between science and what he called the human spirit.
You know, this question has been echoing for centuries. We always hear about it, science versus religion. These two massive forces just locked in this eternal conflict. But here's where Nehru throws a curveball. He suggests something pretty radical, that in our modern age, this whole battle, it isn't just changing, it might be totally irrelevant. So his argument really kicks off with this idea he called the new dominion of science. And what he meant was that science, well, it's not just another field of study anymore, not by a long shot. It's something that has fundamentally reshaped our entire reality.
Nehru basically saw that science has become this primary lens we use to see, well, everything. It's become this all-encompassing framework, so much so that old struggle between religion and science, as he called it, just doesn't even seem real anymore. It's like the entire rulebook for that old debate has been torn up and completely rewritten.
And this shift, it goes right down to the very basics of how we understand reality. I mean, think about it. For ages, we thought of matter as this solid, crude, kind of dead stuff. But now, science is showing us it's something way more complex, almost ethereal. In Nehru's own words, it's subtler than air. So yeah, the very ground beneath our feet is literally not what it seems. Okay, so this all leads us to this really fascinating cosmic paradox. It's this huge tension, right, between the absolutely immense, mind-boggling scale of the universe and the incredible power of the human mind. I mean, science shows us a universe that's so vast, it's almost impossible to comprehend. And when you look at that grand cosmic scheme, our whole planet, it can feel completely and utterly insignificant. Like Nehru said, maybe we're nothing more than a small particle of dust. And that's a really humbling thought. But right after he hits you with that dose of cosmic humility, Nehru comes back with this incredibly powerful counterpoint. He says, look, despite how tiny we are physically, the human mind and spirit are supremely important. He actually says they're more important than the earth and sky. So what he's getting at is that our real significance, it isn't measured by our size, but by the sheer power of our consciousness. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. You can see the evidence all around you. For centuries, the human mind has just been growing and growing, mastering this planet, figuring out how to harness the fundamental forces of nature. It's a mind that's always expanding, always looking for new worlds to conquer. So, if science is this powerful, and our mind is the engine driving it, then you have to ask, what kind of person should be at the wheel? And this, right here, is where Nehru gives us his most profound and, frankly, pretty unexpected idea of what a true scientist really is.
He actually compares the ideal scientist to a yogi, a spiritual ascetic. So we're not talking about someone who's motivated by fame or money or even just staying safe. No, for Nehru, the true scientist is driven by one thing, and one thing only, a pure, totally selfless, and relentless search for truth.
So what does this scientist yogi look like? Well, for one, they have no attachment to their own life if it gets in the way of pursuing knowledge. They're not doing the work for awards or for people to pat them on the back. They are prepared to go to any lengths, literally anywhere, all for the sake of truth. And once they're on that path, they are absolutely steadfast, just completely anchored in that quest for discovery. And that leaves us with this one last really big question to think about. If Nehru's ideal scientist is basically a yogi on a completely selfless quest, then could it be that the ultimate goal of science is the exact same timeless, fundamental search for truth that people on a spiritual path have been pursuing for thousands of years?